The crash that changed everything. Ethan lived a quiet life on a dusty moon called Volar 9. He wasn't rich. In fact, he was a poor single dad who fixed broken starships for a living. His small workshop sat beside a scrapyard filled with old metal, broken engines, and forgotten machines. But for Ethan, it was home. His only family was his 6-year-old daughter, Mira. Mira was the light of his life. She liked to play with wires and small tools while Ethan worked. She would always ask, "Papa, do you think someone will come here today?" And Ethan would smile and say, "Maybe, sweetheart, maybe." Most days no one came. Volar 9 was far from the main trade routes. Only lost or desperate ships ever landed here. But one cold night something different happened. The sky turned red. Ethan looked up from his work table. A loud boom echoed across the sky, and a trail of smoke followed a ship that was falling. Fast. It was heading toward the rocky hills just behind his scrapyard. Mira grabbed his arm. "Papa, what was that?" "I don't know," Ethan said, grabbing his coat and flashlight. "Stay inside and lock the door. I'll check it out." He ran through the scrapyard, dodging metal piles and old ship parts. When he reached the hills, he found smoke rising from a small crater. Inside the crater was a ship, sleek, silver, and glowing with blue energy. It didn't look like anything he had ever seen. The cockpit was cracked. Sparks flew out from the control panel. Carefully, Ethan climbed up and looked inside. There she was, a woman, no, an alien woman, lay unconscious in the pilot's seat. Her skin was pale with a faint shimmer. Her long silver hair was tangled. Strange blue tattoos glowed on her arms. Her suit was torn and covered in blood. In her hand, she still held a weapon. A plasma blade, sharp and humming. Ethan's heart pounded. She didn't look like any alien he had ever seen. Who was she? Why was she here? He had two choices: leave her or save her. He chose to save her. Ethan slowly reached in, careful not to touch the blade. He checked her pulse, weak but still there. He carried her in his arms back through the scrapyard and into his home. Mira gasped when she saw the woman. "Papa, is she a princess?" "I don't know," Ethan said. "But she's hurt. Get the med kit." They laid her on the couch. Ethan cleaned her wounds and stitched the cuts. Mira watched in silence, holding a blanket. Later that night, as Ethan sat beside the alien, he couldn't stop staring. She looked peaceful now, beautiful, but something about her felt dangerous. The plasma blade was still beside her. Just before dawn, her eyes opened. They were bright violet and filled with confusion. "Where am I?" she asked, her voice soft but strong. "You crashed," Ethan said. "I brought you here." She sat up fast. Her hand flew to the blade. "I'm not your enemy," Ethan said calmly. "You were bleeding. I helped you." She looked at him for a long moment. Then, she lowered the weapon. "My name is Vela," she said. "I'm Ethan. This is my daughter, Mira." Mira peeked from behind a wall. "Hi, shiny lady." Vela blinked. "Shiny lady? You sparkle," Mira giggled. Vela looked down at her glowing skin and smiled for the first time. It was small, but real. Ethan offered her a glass of water. She took it, but her hands were shaking. "You should rest," he said. "Your ship is badly damaged. I can try to fix it." "Thank you," she whispered. As the sun rose over Volar 9, Ethan knew something had changed. He had found someone unusual, someone powerful, and maybe dangerous. But he also knew something else. His quiet life was over, because the woman in his home was not just a traveler. She was running from something, and that something was going to find her soon. She woke up in his bed. The morning on Volar 9 was quiet, but inside Ethan's small home, something powerful had just awakened. Vela. She didn't move at first. Her eyes opened slowly, taking in the unfamiliar ceiling, the dull hum of power cells and the warm blanket covering her. She was alive, but she was in a stranger's bed. Her body tensed. Instinct took over. In one swift motion, she jumped out of bed and pulled her plasma blade from the table beside her. Her breath was sharp. Her eyes scanned every corner. A human man was asleep, sitting upright in a chair beside the bed. His face looked tired, unshaven. His hands were still greasy from working with machines. A young girl slept curled on a small mat nearby, a plush alien doll in her arms. Vela narrowed her eyes. Where was she? Why had they saved her? Before she could think more, the man woke up. His eyes opened slowly, and when he saw the blade in her hand, he didn't panic. He simply said, "You're safe here." She didn't lower the blade. "What did you do to me?" "I stitched your wounds. You were bleeding. I didn't touch anything else." She studied his face. His voice was calm, not afraid, not threatening. "I don't trust humans," she said coldly. "That's fair," Ethan replied. "Most humans aren't worth trusting." She blinked. That was not the answer she expected. He stood up slowly, careful not to make sudden moves. "My name's Ethan. That's my daughter Mira. You crashed near our scrapyard last night. I carried you here, that's it." Vela's grip loosened slightly on the blade. She glanced at Mira, who was now rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Hi, shiny lady," the girl said again with a smile. Ethan chuckled. "She calls you that because of your skin." Vela looked down at her faintly glowing arms. The ancient blue marks on her skin, symbols of her bloodline, were barely visible under the bandages. She sighed, and finally lowered the blade. "I need my ship," she said. "It has important components and data. I must leave soon." Ethan nodded. "I started checking it last night. It's in bad shape. Half the systems are fried, and it's not a model I've ever seen." "It's not from your sector," she said. "Figured." Vela took a few weak steps before collapsing back onto the bed. Her body was still healing. She hated feeling weak, vulnerable, but she needed to stay alive. And for now, that meant trusting this human, just a little. Later that day, Ethan showed her the wreckage. The silver ship lay half buried in dust, its nose crushed and engine room burned out. Ethan had pulled out a few panels, but the tech was advanced, even for him. "I've seen hundreds of ships," he said, shaking his head. "Yours is different. The systems don't respond to regular tools." "They won't," she replied. "They're voice-locked, bio-coded." "Bio-coded?" he asked. She lifted her hand and placed it on a glowing panel near the rear hatch. A faint chime sounded and a hidden compartment opened. Inside were sleek metal cases filled with energy cores and encrypted crystals, and Ethan's eyes widened. A miniature star map beacon. "You're not just a traveler," he said. "Are you?" She stared at the horizon, her voice low. "I was being hunted by my own people. My escape pod was sabotaged. Someone doesn't want me alive." Ethan folded his arms. "Why would your own kind do that?" Vela didn't answer. She closed the compartment and turned back. "Can you fix the engine?" "I can try, but it'll take time." "You don't have time," she said. "Then help me," Ethan said calmly. "Work with me, or you're stuck here." She paused. Studying him again, there was no greed in his eyes, no lust, no fear, just honesty and something else. Care. "Fine," she said, "but don't ask about my past, not yet." That evening, Vela sat at the dinner table with Ethan and Mira. She ate slowly, unsure of Earth food, but it filled her stomach. Mira leaned close to her. "Do you have a family?" Vela looked down at her plate. "No," she said softly. "My mom went to the stars," Mira whispered. "Papa says she watches us." Vela's eyes softened. "Then, she must be very proud." After Mira went to sleep, Ethan walked Vela back to the guest room. "Why did you really save me?" she asked suddenly. He shrugged. "You needed help. You don't even know who I am. You're someone who crashed near my home. That's enough." She watched him for a long time, then said quietly, "Most men would have taken advantage. I'm not most men, Ethan replied, and with that he left her to rest. But as she lay down, Vela couldn't sleep, because for the first time in a long time, she felt safe. Secrets under the skin. Ethan had seen strange things in his life. Scrap parts from alien warships, frozen pirates from cryopods, even a talking vending machine once. But nothing was stranger than Vela. She moved through the scrapyard like a shadow, quiet but alert. She never turned her back on anything. Even when helping with repairs, her eyes kept scanning the sky, as if someone was always watching, and maybe someone was. One morning, Ethan noticed something unusual. She was standing in front of a mirror in the workshop. Shirt rolled up to her ribs. A strange pattern was glowing faintly beneath her skin, like lines of light moving under her flesh. Blue, sharp, alive. She didn't know he was watching. He took a step forward and the floor creaked. She spun around fast, pulling her shirt down and grabbing a wrench like a weapon. Ethan held up his hands. "Whoa, it's me." "You saw?" she asked, breath tight. "I saw something glowing," he said carefully. "That's not a tattoo, is it?" She didn't speak. Her face was hard. "It's okay," Ethan added. "I'm not judging, I just want to help." She looked away, then slowly walked toward him. "They burned it into me," she said quietly. "Not ink, not art, a control mark, hidden beneath the skin, tied to my DNA like a slave brand." Ethan's heart sank. "Who did that?" "My own people," she whispered. "My family." That night, Ethan couldn't sleep. He went back to the wrecked ship. He wanted answers. He crawled inside the engine chamber again. The ship's panels were strange, shifting metal, whispering circuits, code written in a language he couldn't read. But one small screen was cracked just enough to show a hidden file directory. He tapped it. It asked for biometric access. Ethan grabbed a glove she had left behind, one with dried blood. Carefully he used the scanner. The screen blinked green. Files opened. One video, one message, one medical report. The message played. A hologram appeared. It was Vela speaking to someone off-screen. "If they find me, they'll erase me. Like, I was never born. The mark, it's proof. Proof that I was meant to be controlled, not crowned." Ethan paused the message. Crowned? He opened the medical report. His eyes widened. It said her DNA signature was royal class. High-level genetic structure. Combat enhanced. Emotion repressed. Fertility locked until chosen by bond. But also, she had been marked for destruction by her own bloodline. She wasn't just royalty. She was a threat to her empire. Back at the house, Vela stepped into the room quietly. "You went into my ship," she said. Ethan looked up from the screen. He didn't deny it. "You lied," he said. "I didn't lie," she replied. "I just didn't tell you everything. You're not just escaping marriage, are you? They want you dead because you could take the throne." Vela's face was unreadable. "My birth was a mistake," she said. "I wasn't supposed to survive." "But you did." "Yes, and I've been running ever since." She walked closer, staring hard at Ethan. "You should be afraid of me." He stood up. "Maybe, but I'm not." "Why?" "Because you look at my daughter the way no monster would. And because I've seen real monsters, you're not one of them." Vela's eyes flickered. For a moment, her voice cracked. "I don't know how to be free." Ethan gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "Then learn here. Start now." Later that night, Vela stood on the roof, watching the stars. Her glowing skin was hidden under a cloak. Her eyes stayed locked on a bright cluster in the distance. "Are they coming?" Ethan asked, stepping beside her. "Yes," she said softly. "Not today, but soon." He nodded. "Then I'll have your ship ready before they do." "And if they come before?" "Then we fight." She turned to look at him, truly look at him. "You'd fight for me?" "I already am." And for the first time since crashing on Voller 9, Vela smiled without sadness. But inside, she knew the mark under her skin was more than a symbol. It was a signal. And someone, somewhere, had already received it. Danger comes for her. It started with silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, sharp silence that comes right before something terrible happens. Ethan noticed it first. The wind that usually rustled through the scrapyard was gone. Even the power tools gave strange static pulses. The lights flickered once, then went out. Hambasum stood up from the workbench. "That's not normal," he muttered. Mira peeked out from behind a stack of tools. "Papa, why is it so quiet?" Before Ethan could answer, a high-pitched whine filled the air, followed by a deep, slow rumble. Then, they saw it. A dark shadow passed over the yard. Vela came running into the room, her skin glowing faintly, eyes wide. "They've found me," she said. "They're here." Above them, a sleek black ship hovered silently. It was nothing like Vela's. This one was sharp, armored, and completely weaponized. Markings on the side glowed red, symbols of the Council enforcers. They hadn't come to talk. They had come to erase her. Ethan rushed to hide Mira inside the hidden cellar trap door, beneath the floor. "Don't come out unless I open it," he told her. "But what about you?" she whispered, scared. "I'll be okay. I promise." The front gate blew open. 2 enforcer soldiers stepped through the smoke, tall and covered head to toe in black armor. Their weapons hummed like vipers ready to strike. They moved without sound. No warning, no shouting. Ethan stepped forward. "This is private property," he yelled. "You're trespassing." The soldiers ignored him and walked straight toward Vela. She stepped forward too, lifting her plasma blade. "Back off," she warned. One of the soldiers raised a scanner. It beeped loudly the moment it faced her. "Target confirmed," a robotic voice said. "Code 9. Terminate." Ethan grabbed the nearest thing, an old pipe, and charged. The fight exploded like a lightning strike. The first soldier swung at Vela, but she ducked low and cut through his armor with her blade. Sparks flew. The second soldier blasted at Ethan. He dodged just in time, feeling heat burn past his cheek. Vela moved like wind, fast, precise, deadly. Her skin lit up with every strike. She wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for Ethan, for Mira, for freedom. Ethan used tools, scrap, and brute strength to distract the second soldier. A hammer to the knee, a chain to the arm, long enough for Vela to leap in and slice his helmet open. When the last enforcer fell, silence returned. This time, it wasn't sharp. It was terrifying, because they knew this was only the beginning. Later, inside the house, Ethan stitched up a cut on Vela's arm. "You okay?" he asked. "I've had worse," she said, but her voice was shaking. Mira climbed up from the cellar and threw her arms around Vela. "I was scared you'd be taken." Vela hugged her tightly. "They'll never take me. Never again." Ethan looked out the window at the smoldering gate. They sent a small team first. "Next time, they'll bring more." Vela nodded. "They'll come with ships, drones, maybe even assassins." "And we'll be ready," Ethan said. "You can't fight an empire." "I'm not fighting an empire," he said, looking her in the eyes. "I'm protecting my home." That night, Vela sat on the rooftop again, holding Mira in her lap as the girl slowly fell asleep in her arms. Ethan joined her, bruised and exhausted. He sat down beside her, watching the stars. "I've always hated this moon," he admitted. "It's dusty, lonely, far from everything." "And now?" Vela asked softly. He smiled faintly. "Now it's where I met the most dangerous woman in the galaxy." She chuckled. "You're not afraid of me?" "No," he said, "but I'm afraid for you." She looked at him. "Why would you care?" "I'm just trouble." "You saved my life today. Protected my daughter. You're not trouble, Vela. You're the reason I believe again." Vela looked down at the sleeping child in her arms, and something shifted inside her. She whispered, "I think This is the first time I've ever felt like I belong, and that scared her more than any enemy ever could. Heat in the cold night. The wind howled through the mountains that night, sharp like knives. The small fire crackled weakly inside a narrow cave, barely enough to light the rocky walls. Outside, icy rain slammed against stone. Ethan shivered as he pressed a broken heater unit, hoping it would come to life. It sparked and died. No good, he muttered. Vela sat across from him, silent and still. Her cloak was soaked, her silver hair damp, her skin faintly glowing under the firelight. "This cave is safe," she said. "But we won't survive the cold if we don't warm up." Ethan laughed quietly. "You think?" His hands were red. His breath came out in clouds. Then she looked up at him, not like before, not with suspicion or fear, but with something else, something quiet, soft. "Come here," she said. Ethan blinked. "What?" "We share body heat. It's how my kind survived ice planets. Come closer. Now." He hesitated only for a second, then he moved beside her. She opened her cloak and pulled him in. Her body was warm, very warm, and her skin, even cold and damp, felt almost alive with energy. They sat in silence, pressed chest to chest, shoulder to shoulder. "I can hear your heart," she whispered. "It's fast." "You're warm," he replied. "Very warm." She looked up at him. "So are you." Time passed. The wind didn't stop, but inside the cave, something else had started. Vela rested her head on his shoulder. Her voice was barely a whisper now. "My people were taught to reject emotions, to control everything inside." "And you?" he asked. "I failed," she said softly. "I ran away because I wanted to feel something real. Not a command, not a duty, just real." "You found it?" Ethan asked. She looked at him, eyes glowing faintly. "I think I'm holding it." The silence between them wasn't empty anymore. It was full of questions, full of feelings. She placed her hand on his chest. "You fixed my ship," she said. "But now I'm broken in other places." "You're not broken," he said. "You're just waking up." A small smile touched her lips, then it faded. "You'll regret this," she whispered. "If you get involved with me, they'll come again. Stronger. They'll destroy your home, your life." Ethan gently took her hand. "You've already changed my life," he said. "And I'm not letting go now." They leaned in, slowly, not rushed, not out of fear, but out of trust. Their lips brushed, light as air, then deeper, warmer. Outside, the storm raged, but inside the cave, there was peace. There was heat. There was something neither of them had dared to hope for. Connection. The next morning, Ethan woke with Vela still wrapped in his arms. She was already awake, watching him. "You're not running away?" He joked sleepily. "I'm tired of running," she said, and in that moment, something changed in her eyes. Not fear, not doubt, but belonging. As the fire died down, she whispered words in a strange alien language and pressed her fingers against her own glowing skin. "What was that?" Ethan asked. "A promise," she said. Then she reached over and traced the same glowing symbol onto his chest. Now they were linked, not by force, not by law, but by choice. Vela's true identity. The cave was quiet again, but something in the air had changed. Ethan could feel it, like a shift in gravity. Vela wasn't speaking much, not like before. She stared into the ashes of the fire, her body still, her thoughts far away. Finally, Ethan asked the question that had been building in his mind since the night she crashed on his moon. "Who are you really, Vela?" She looked at him. No more games. No more hiding. She stood up, walked to the edge of the cave, and looked out at the gray morning sky. "I lied to you," she said. Ethan didn't flinch. "I figured." "I didn't run away from a marriage," she continued. "I ran away from a coronation." Ethan stood slowly. Coronation. She turned to face him. I'm not just royal blood, Ethan. I am the last blood of House Valorak, the true heir to the Aurelian throne. Ethan didn't speak right away. He was processing, replaying every moment. Her skills, her ship, the mark beneath her skin, the enemies who came without warning. It all made sense now. Why would someone want you dead if you're the heir? Because I'm not controllable, she said. My mind wasn't broken like the others. My body didn't accept the obedience serum. They branded me as defective, dangerous, a failed princess. She pulled down her sleeve. The glowing symbols on her skin shimmered with new clarity. Not just decoration. They were warnings. They marked me for erasure, but I escaped before they could finish the purge. Ethan felt the weight of her words settle on his chest. So, that means if they catch you, I'll disappear, she said coldly. They'll remove all records of me, all memories, like I never existed. Suddenly, a sharp ping sounded from inside her cloak. Vela pulled out a small crystal tablet. Her eyes narrowed. They've found me again. Ethan's stomach dropped. Already? A new signal. They must have traced the royal seal I placed on your skin. He looked down at his chest, the faint, glowing symbol she had marked the night before. It's a binding seal, she explained. It wasn't just a promise, it made you my consort, by Aurelian law. Ethan froze. Wait, I'm your... what? She smirked slightly. My husband, technically. Oh, Ethan muttered, rubbing the back of his neck. Well, that escalated fast. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed in the distance. The mountain shook slightly. Vela's face turned serious again. They're using planetary tracking drones now. Military grade. Ethan grabbed his tools. We need to move. No, she said. We need to fight. Fight what? An army? Not an army, she said. Just one ship. She pressed a hidden button on her belt. From far in the distance, something roared to life. Ethan turned to her. What did you just do? She smiled. I called for my ship, the one they don't know I rebuilt, the one you helped fix. Within minutes, the sound of engines filled the air. A ship rose from the far side of the scrapyard, her sleek silver vessel no longer broken and smoking, but reborn. Its wings extended, cannons rotated, lights flickered to full power. Ethan watched in awe. That thing flies, Vela smirked, with style. They climbed aboard quickly. Mira was already inside, tucked safely in the crew cabin. She squealed with joy when the engines hummed. Are we flying, Papa? Looks like it, sweetheart, Ethan said. Vela took the pilot seat and touched the console. Her skin glowed brighter than ever now, connected to the ship through biocircuitry. She's fully awake now, she whispered. As they lifted off the ground, scanners showed a black dot racing toward them from orbit. Council warship incoming, she said. ETA, 3 minutes. Ethan strapped in. You're really going to fight them? I'm not running anymore, Vela said, her voice steel. And us? He asked. She turned to him, her eyes serious. You're my mate now. That makes you a threat to the council too. He gave a crooked smile. Guess I better learn how to shoot. The stars opened before them. As the black warship approached, Vela's fingers danced across the controls. Weapons charged, shields rose. She took a deep breath. For my freedom, she whispered. For our family, Ethan added. The ship's nose tilted forward, and Vela, heir to the Aurelian Empire, prepared to face her executioners. Not as a prisoner, not as a lost daughter, but as a warrior queen. She wants to stay. As his wife, the stars were burning behind them. Smoke still rose from the destroyed council warship far below, a broken shadow falling into the atmosphere of Volar 9. But inside the ship, there was silence. Not fear, not tension, just the stillness that follows after you've survived something you were never meant to survive. Ethan sat in the co-pilot's seat, hands still trembling, his face lit by flickering screens. Mira was asleep in the back, wrapped in blankets and unaware that her world had nearly ended. Vela stood in front of the ship's observation window, her silver hair floating gently in the recycled air. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. He already knew something inside her had changed. She wasn't running anymore. "Are you okay?" Ethan finally asked, voice soft. She turned around slowly. Her eyes, once sharp and full of survival instinct, were now tired, but peaceful. "I've killed my past," she said. "Now I want a future." He stood up and walked to her side. "With us?" he asked. She didn't smile. She didn't need to. Instead, she reached into her belt and pulled out a small, glowing ring, a thin band of woven crystal and stardust. "My people. We don't wear rings," she said. "We bond through energy, skin to skin, soul to soul." She looked down. "But you're human. So I made this. Because I want to be part of your world too." Ethan took the ring slowly, carefully, as if it might vanish. "I'm not royalty," he said. "I don't have a throne. I don't even have a working shower most days." Vela chuckled. "I don't want a throne," she said. "I want your broken ship, your small house, your annoying tools, your grumpy face, your warm arms." Her voice broke slightly. "I want your life, Ethan. All of it." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. He simply took her hand, slipped the heir ring on her finger, and kissed her. The ship's lights dimmed around them as if sensing the new bond being sealed. And in that moment, a royal fugitive became a wife, not by law, not by force, but by love. They returned to the scrapyard a few days later. Ethan rebuilt his house with help from salvaged parts of the council ship they'd destroyed. The gate was stronger now. The solar panels finally worked right. Even the generator stopped making that weird coughing sound. Mira helped paint the walls, drawing stars and moons with bright yellow paint. And Vela? She worked beside them every day. She fixed wires. She planted seeds. She even learned to cook, sort. And at night, she curled into Ethan's arms and whispered in alien tongue things that made him blush. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, she sat beside him on the porch and looked toward the sky. "They still might come," she said. "They probably will," he answered. "Then why aren't you afraid?" He looked at her. "Because this time, they'll be coming for a queen with a family." The wind picked up. Mira ran through the yard chasing a floating droid, and Vela leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. "I was branded like cattle," she said. "Treated like a tool. Hunted like a mistake. But you're none of those things," Ethan said. "You're my wife now." She closed her eyes, and for the first time since she was born into power, into fear, into silence, she felt free.